Hey guys, George of SoundTraxx here. Have you ever read the manual and figured out how to illuminate all the extra lights on your decoder? Well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about that briefly this week. Now, one of the biggest questions we get a lot of times is when people want to wire up all the extra lights on our decoders. So you have your headlight and backup light, and then you have your FX3, your FX4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we get calls a lot of times where people will assume that the FX3 is turned on and off by the 3 key, and the FX4 is turned on by the 4 key, and so on. Well, that's actually not true. The FX3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are actually numbered because they're the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So the headlight and backup light are technically FX1 and FX2, traditionally used for the headlight and the backup light. But the FX3, 4, 5, 6 are the other lights that you can wire up and illuminate on your model. And the reason they were done that way is so that way you know the lighting output number. So the cool thing is our lighting effects are not limited to the FX3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. You can change the FX1, FX2 headlight and backup light output to do other things. So let's say, for example, if you have a steam locomotive that doesn't have a backup light, you could repurpose that for, say, a cab light or a firebox flicker or something, and you don't need to have to use the FX3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that kind of gives you the illustration on how the numbering is done. Now, when you're using a Decoder Buddy or equivalent to install into your model, they actually will have your headlight and backup light as if they're given, and then the next lighting output is considered aux1 as their first auxiliary light, and then aux2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And so the aux1 on your Decoder Buddy actually corresponds to the FX3, the third lighting output on this SoundTraxx decoders. Now, one of the biggest questions is how do we illuminate them? And so once you get done doing your decoder installation, we get a lot of calls where people will say, hey, I wired to the FX5 and I push 5 and I can't get the light to work. So just a little background on what we did. So the headlight and backup light, of course, are defaulted to function 0, but you can remap them anywhere you want to go. But the FX3, 4, 5, and 6, we moved up higher into the numbering class, the function mapping. And the reason for that is because that way, with most DCC systems, and I have a power cab here in front of me, and we're using this locomotive that I just got done installing a Blunami in. But for this example, we're going to go ahead and use the throttle. So to access function 24, which is where the FX3 is lit, we have to hit pound or the shift and the 0 key, and we have to do that twice to get to F20 through 28. And then when we press the 4 key, which is function 24, now you see my class lights illuminate. The reason we did that was because a lot of the single button press, function 0 through 9, can be things you traditionally use more during an op session, such as grade crossing, mute. You may need to mute during your during your operations. You may need to use the function 5 and 6 to RPM plus and minus manually, up and down, and so forth. The function 4 is your dynamic brake. Function 3 is your short horn. 2 is your long horn. So what we did is we moved those lights up, since most of the time you typically would turn on, say, your class lights and leave them on. You're not turning them on and off regularly. Same thing for the number boards and the truck lights or the ground lights. So here I've got function FX5 is where my ground lights are, or truck lights, and then the FX6 is actually where my number boards are. So again, on this, what I'm doing is I'm pushing and holding the shift key and the 0 key, and then in the screen you see function 10 through 19. Well, on this NCE system, what that's telling you is that the 0 key is now 10, the 1 is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then we do this again, the shift 0, now you see 20 through 28, and so this is telling you that this is the 20 key, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. And so it's not necessarily the most intuitive thing that you can do. Now, your DCC system may vary. I know on the Digitrax they have a Funk Plus that you're supposed to hit the Funk Plus and the 1 key or the 2 key for the 10 through 19 or 20 through 28. And so your DCC system methods may vary, but it's multiple buttons to push. And that's why we moved the lights up to the top, was so that you can access them, because these lights aren't something you would typically turn on and off regularly during the op session as you're running. The good news is with our FlexMap function mapping, you can move them anywhere you need to go. It's just a matter of setting some CV adjustments, or in this case with the Blunami, you can do that through your Blunami app. So guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. For a deeper dive into all of this, we've done videos on our FlexMap function mapping, so you'll know how to do that. We've done some videos where I've set up some of my personal locomotives showing you how I assign the lights and so forth. We've even done a video showing you how to rename the function lights on the Blunami app, so that way you don't have to remember that the FX3 is turned on and off by button 24. You can just push the button on the app that says class lights. And a lot of other videos. So be sure to check those videos out on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, search SoundTraxx, and any topic that you want, in this case, function mapping, and we'll talk a little bit in depth of what the DCC system looks like and how our decoders respond to that. There's also the user's guide. The diesel and steam user's guide is there for you so that you can go through, and we explain everything in English terms so that way you can understand fully what you're doing, and then we give you examples on how to make the adjustments and changes so that way you can set up the decoder to operate the way you want to. So if you wanted for example, the class lights and number boards to be on function 5 and 6, you can simply reassign them, and then you can move the RPM plus and minus somewhere else. Now, of course, we have our dynamic digital exhaust feature, so you may choose to use that in place of the manual RPM plus and minus, but you always have the choice. The best part is it's up to you and what you want the decoder to do. So that's everything I've got for you guys this week. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We put video content like this out every week. We try to help you understand a little bit more about what's going on digitally so that way you can have more fun running your trains. And if you have any questions, send us an email to support@soundtraxx.com, and we'll be happy to help answer anything we can. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.